There's a 3-step process I want to share with you about seeing more deer and way less people. I go through these 3 steps every single time I'm looking for a location to deer hunt. Step number 1 is simply finding land that you can hunt on. This could be public land, this could be private land that's in the forest crop program. There are a lot of places you can hunt legally and you need to locate that place. Now I realize that's very obvious to you, but we're not talking about private land here. We're talking about public access where there's a lot of pressure at times that you need to get away from in order to find deer and have less people in your hunting areas. Step number 2, once you find that location where you want to hunt, look for water. Once you find water on that property, you're in a good position to leave a lot of other hunters behind and increase your odds of seeing a lot more deer when you hunt. The beauty of steps 1 and steps 2 is that you don't even need to leave the comfort of your home. You can sit on your computer, your phone, or your tablet, and you can locate these properties easily by using Onyx, Google Maps, and other programs. Step number 3. Now you've already found the property you want to hunt. You've identified water on the property, which could be a marsh, river, creek, swamp. Now what you need to do is go to that property and go across that body of water. Make sure that it's hard to access the other side of the water from the other side of the property. With step 3, once you cross that water, whatever it happens to be, you're probably going to see more deer and less people. I almost guarantee it. Let me show you a prime example of how this works. So what you're looking at is actually a piece of property that I hunt. I simplified the drawing to make it a little easier to understand for this video. To the east, there's a road and a small public access point. It's actually a parking lot where a few cars can park. From this public access point, there's a trail that leads directly toward the creek. I'm sharing this with you because this is actually a location where I go to hunt. Here's what I noticed about this particular location. People park in the parking lot, just like everybody else. They walk down the main trail, but then once they get to the creek, they stop. The boot tracks do not go across the creek. They walk alongside the creek. They may turn around and look for another location. And oftentimes, before they even get to the creek, they go into the woods, set up in a woodlot, hoping to see deer. I've even hunted there in the wintertime when there's been a lot of snow on the ground for several weeks, and there are no boot tracks on the other side of the creek, which tells me that for whatever reason, people don't want to cross the creek in order to pursue deer. Dan Infalt says this a lot on his channel, The Hunting Beast. If you don't follow The Hunting Beast, you should. But he says, for some reason, people are afraid of water. I think there's a lot of truth to that. It's something we consume on a daily basis. We need it to survive, yet we're afraid to go across it or enter into it. If you think about it long enough, it's going to be silly to you as well, simply because people are afraid to cross water, even when it's just a few inches deep. All you need in most cases is a set of knee-high rubber boots, and you can access a lot of properties you probably didn't think you could access before. Now, once you start getting into properties where you need chest waders or even hip waders, that's going to change things a little bit. But for the most part, using knee-high rubber boots is all you really need. Now, let's talk about this property a little bit. I did find deer sign on the east side of that creek. It wasn't a lot. A little bit of scat, a few tracks, mostly small, but there was sign there from time to time. That tells me it's mostly night activity. Deer are randomly going through there. It's not a great spot to set up on for success. In this illustration, you can see where deer stands are located using the red circles with the white X's. That's a typical location for people to set up in that like to go deer hunting and they don't want to work too hard for success. The thing is, if you're watching this video, you probably don't fall into one of those categories that I like to call the 3 C's. Most people who deer hunt fall under one of these 3 categories. They like comfort, they like convenience, and they like cosmetics. The 3 C's. Let me unpack that a little bit. They like comfort, meaning they don't want to risk getting wet, which I don't blame them for. They like sitting in a nice, big, tall, mature tree so their stand isn't at a weird angle. I understand that as well. But sometimes seeking comfort over seeking success and results is actually going to hinder your results as a deer hunter. People who like convenience are those that walk into the woods on the main trail, go 100 yards, maybe off the main trail, not in water, not in a swamp. The temperature has to be right, that sort of thing. They find an easy tree to climb. It's very convenient. Hunters who seek cosmetics are the hunters who need to have a nice truck to go deer hunting, or they need to have the newest, flashiest bow in order to have success. They think that in their mind. Those are the deer hunters that are going to be hunting on the east side of this creek. They're going to hunt there. They might see a deer or two. Chances are, if they do, it's just by random luck. Hunters that go on the west side of the creek, those are the hunters, probably like you and me, which is why you're watching this video. Those are the hunters that are looking for results. They're looking for big sign. They're looking for deer, crossing constantly, upping their odds for more success while they deer hunt. Let's go back a little bit and talk about this property I'm referring to. Now, we said on the east side of that property, I saw a few tracks, a little bit of deer scat, not a whole lot going on there. And people hunt there. On the west side, once I did get across the creek, I saw a really great sign. I saw bigger rubs, I saw bigger tracks, I saw a lot more scrapes, I saw a whole bunch more browse. Everything was improved, not only by scale of quantity of deer, but the size of deer. And that just goes to show you that crossing a little bit of water is really going to help you be more successful in the woods. You're going to see more deer and you're going to see less people. That's the main idea. If you're seeing less people, you're probably seeing more deer, and vice versa. This is just something that I've learned over the years that has really helped me increase my odds and success in the woods. I do this every single time I'm looking for a property. Most of the time I hunt properties, they're public. Almost every single time I hunt a property that's public, I only hunt it if there's water, and I always cross the water if I'm able to. Now, this is not a perfect step-by-step solution that's going to promise you shoot a huge mega buck every single year, but it's a great place to start if you're having trouble locating deer because you see too many people or you're hunting in a place where there are just too many people in general. You may be in a place where there are tons of people because of the city populations around you, a highly populated metropolitan area, and then there's only a little bit of public land. That's tough, but you can eliminate seeing a lot of those people just by crossing water. See, a lot of people think it's the distance you go into the woods that's going to separate you from a lot of people. And that can be true in some situations, but what I've found is that people are willing to walk a long ways if the trail is easy to walk on. If they don't have to go through water, if they don't have to go through a marsh. It's what you go through, in my opinion, that's actually a lot more difficult than walking a longer distance. For example, there's a place I go, it's a 2-mile walk on an easy trail you can ride a bike down, and there's people hunting back there all the time because it's not hard to walk 2 miles on an easy open trail. However, there's another place I go hunting sometimes on public land where I virtually see nobody, even though I'm just a couple hundred yards away from the general parking area. It's not that hard to figure out, you just have to look for something that's difficult to walk through and scout the other side for quality sign. And this is what I love about hunting. It's not absolute. There are situations where hunting right next to the parking lot with an easy setup can actually give you a lot of success. But overall, we're trying to put the odds in our favor. So going through a really difficult terrain, no matter what the distance is, creek, marsh, swamp, river, that's going to separate you from a lot of other people that aren't willing to do that. And the thing is, if you're watching this video, you're probably a person that's willing to work harder than the average hunter. However, a lot of average hunters don't realize how easy it is to actually cross a creek or a small river. A lot of times they're only a foot deep at the most. If you have knee-high boots on, that's all you need to get across that river at certain points. Now there's deeper holes, there may be a rapids you need to look out for. Just walk up and down the creek, look for an easy place to cross, and then start scouting and hunting on the other side. If you look for these types of properties near you, I'm willing to bet that you will find quality deer sign and less people. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you next time.